In the interest of safety, the Scaffold Industry Association has developed minimum guidelines for the visual inspection and proper use of scaffold planks. They define the user's responsibility to select the proper planks and install, use, and remove them in the manner prescribed by applicable safety standards. Additionally, the guidelines offer a description of conditions that may cause planks to be unsafe. Let's begin by discussing what a scaffold-grade plank is and how to identify one. The first guideline states that solid sawn scaffold planks shall be scaffold grade and bear the grade stamp of or be certified by a grading agency approved by the American Lumber Standards Committee. The American Lumber Standards Committee approves the grading rules and associated design values that are published by regional grading agencies. Various grading agencies write different grading rules for different end uses, such as studs, joists, or scaffold planks. The grading rules for scaffold planks are written for dimensioned lumber that will be used flatwise in an application that requires a relatively high degree of safety. For these reasons, scaffold grade rules have some important differences. Most notably, scaffold grade planks are more dense, have straighter grain and tighter restrictions on wide-face spiked knots. The most common way of identifying a scaffold grade solid sawn plank is by means of an ink stamp. These stamps will be typically located near one end of the plank. Here are some examples of scaffold grade stamps in use. Notice the one feature shared by each stamp. The words scaffold plank are either spelled out or abbreviated. Another means of identifying scaffold grade planks is with a mill certification. By means of this document, a lumber mill certifies that the planks were graded according to scaffold plank grading rules. Individual planks may be further identified with a hammer brand. Once a scaffold plank has been selected, users must make certain that they do not exceed the load and span capacity of the plank. The second guideline recommends that solid sawn scaffold plank be sized, using the design values published for each scaffold grade. These design values can be found in the current editions of the agency grading rules. Or the ANSI A10.8 standard describes design requirements and contains plank selection tables. Or the Scaffold Industry Association Membership Directory and Handbook. Several types of manufactured wood planks are available today. Manufactured scaffold planks shall have design values at least equivalent to those for solid sawn planks of equal dimensions. Look for the manufacturer's certification that their planks meet all applicable standards. As with lumber mills, engineered wood manufacturers make many grades of planking material. So, be sure the planks are identified as scaffold grade. This is your assurance that the material has been designed specifically for scaffold use. Manufactured scaffold plank producers have published load and span information available to end users. Manufactured scaffold planks shall be used in accordance with the load and span tables published by the manufacturer. With reasonable care and proper use, wooden scaffold planks can be expected to last a long time. However, scaffold planks which show signs of decay, chemical contamination, or damage must be removed from service. When in doubt, throw it out. Strong acid or alkaline solutions may damage wood fiber, while the damage might not always be visible. Here are examples of what some scaffold planks look like when they have been damaged by harmful chemicals. Other enemies of wood fiber are insects and decay. Planks that have been attacked by either chemicals, insects, or decay should be inspected by a qualified person. Decay is usually the result of improper storage. Protect bundles of planks from direct wetting, while allowing for air circulation around all sides of the bundle. This damage was caused by overloading. Make sure you have the right size planks for the loads and spans on your job. Do not store heavy materials on scaffold planks unless they have been designed for that purpose. Do not use scaffold planks for loading ramps or other purposes for which they were not intended. These examples show obvious failures. But sometimes the signs of damage are not so obvious. If you suspect that a plank was improperly used or accidentally overloaded, remove it from service. Do not take a chance on unseen damage. Here is an example of another kind of damage that looks innocent. Saw kerfs reduce the thickness of the plank and have a significant effect on the plank's strength. Saw cuts through the side of a plank reduce a plank's strength in direct proportion to the depth of the cut. Sometimes there is just no way around an obstruction. This plank had to be custom fitted to a unique job situation. Notches like saw kerfs and saw cuts reduce the cross-section of the plank, and therefore its strength. Planks that have been modified or damaged with a saw should be removed from service. Scaffold planks containing notches, saw kerfs, or saw cuts shall be cut back to shorter lengths to eliminate the hazard. This way, an undamaged portion of the plank can be salvaged and returned to service. Split planks may also be a hazard. Stepping on either side of the split may overload the portion you are standing on. Scaffold planks with split ends are not necessarily weakened. End splits may be contained or reinforced by banding or rodding. Refer to OSHA Directive number 100-84-3C, which states, the fact that a plank might have a split does not automatically mean that it must be removed from service, provided it does not otherwise create a hazard to the employees. Here are some examples of how you can reinforce the ends of scaffold planks to help prevent end splits. By banding the ends of planks. By drilling and inserting a rod for reinforcement. This is how it looks after the rod is inserted. Or by using gang nail strips to keep them from getting worse. Checks naturally develop in wood as it dries out and do not present a hazard. This is an example of a seasoning check. Planks that have been accidentally dropped, hit by falling objects, or jumped on may be damaged, and the damage can't always be seen. This is why a baseball player doesn't trust his eye, but instead hits the end of his bat on the ground to check for cracks. If a plank is dropped or something heavy hits the plank, don't take a chance. Replace it right away. Scaffold planks shall be used within the guidelines set forth by ANSI A10.8 and applicable federal, state, provincial, or local standards. The construction and use of scaffolding is regulated by agencies at all levels of government. You must be familiar with federal, state, or provincial regulations before erecting or using a scaffold. Additionally, you may have to follow regulations written and enforced by local building departments. There are many governmental regulations that govern the construction and use of scaffolding. These regulations are law. Failure to follow these laws may not only result in fines and possibly jail terms, but worse, could cause a serious injury. These regulations deal with loads, spans, and conditions of the planks, which we have already discussed. Let's take a look now at some of the details of scaffolding construction that are typically covered. The ends of the scaffold planks must not extend more than 18 inches beyond the support unless the platform is guarded to prevent access to the cantilevered end. Nor may they extend less than 6 inches over the support unless the planks are cleated or otherwise restrained. Here are examples of what a minimum overhang looks like and a maximum permissible overhang. In some applications, it is necessary to keep the planks from slipping off the support. Here is an example of how that can be done. This scene shows a pair of wood cleats fastened to the plank. Here, each plank has been secured by toe nailing the toe board to the plank. This metal channel will slip over the support and hold the plank in place. When scaffold planks are overlapped, each plank must extend at least 6 inches beyond the support, creating a minimum of a 12-inch overlap. Here is how that looks on the job. Scaffold planks should be placed as close as possible to adjacent planks. Any space between adjacent planks should be no more than 1 inch wide, except as necessary to fit around uprights, when side brackets are used to extend the width of the platform. Where planks are butted to form a flush surface, each plank must be properly supported and secured from movement. You can see by these examples how the planks are butted together to form a properly secured flush surface. At all points of a scaffold where the planks change direction, such as turning a corner, any plank that rests on a bearer at an angle other than a right angle should be laid first. Planks which rest at right angles over the same bearer should be laid second, on top of the first plank. Designing, constructing, and using scaffolding involves many variables. This presentation dealt only with those regarding wooden scaffold planks. These guidelines do not purport to be all-inclusive, nor to supplant or replace other additional safety and precautionary measures. They are neither intended to conflict with nor supersede the requirements of law or of governmental regulations, codes, and ordinances. Reference to such provisions should be made by the user. Since the use and requirements of wood scaffold planks will vary with each installation and scaffold system, reference must always be made to the instructions and procedures of the supplier and/or manufacturer of the equipment. The Scaffold Industry Association has other information available to those in the scaffolding industry. Ask a member, or better still, join the SIA. Help yourself and the industry by joining with us to educate and promote safety.